Donald Trump panicked and caved to mighty Canada after Donald Trump threatened, "We're going to impose 50% tariffs on you unless you make a deal with us and stop your retaliation against us." With minutes left in Donald Trump's arbitrary deadline, Donald Trump did what everybody expected he would do. He announced, "I have paused the 50% tariffs against Canada that were scheduled to kick in tomorrow morning for a 3-day period based on the fact that Canada and the USA, subject to finalization of documents, have a deal!" Exclamation point. The great Keystone Pipeline, long ago killed by sleepy Joe Biden, may be awoken from the grave. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So whenever time Donald Trump announces something like this, you always have to say, all right, well, there's another side to this. What's the other side saying? So Prime Minister Carney, knowing that Donald Trump would try to, basically say that he did this deal and all of these things without it actually happening yet, Prime Minister Carney put out the following statement. And here's how it began. "My statement on ongoing Canada-U.S. trade negotiations." Usually when there are ongoing trade negotiations, that doesn't mean that there is a completed deal. Prime Minister Carney says, "Over the last number of weeks, Canada has engaged in intensive discussions with the United States to address outstanding trade issues and deliver greater certainty and real benefits for Canadian businesses, workers, farmers, and families. Substantial progress has been made, although there is important work still to be done." That means there's not a deal. As this work is ongoing, the United States has agreed to postpone the implementation of its 50% tariffs on a range of Canadian goods under Section 338 of the U.S. Tariff Act of 1930 until end of day August 21. I know he's just stating the facts there, but as he was writing that letter with whoever he was helping draft the letter as well, you can't help but look at that statement as just also saying how stupid is what they're doing. They're doing the U.S. Tariff Act of 1930 on us in 2026. What else happened in 1930 in the United States? Oh, yeah, the Great Depression. Oh, got it. Okay. While we continue this work, Canada remains focused on building a stronger, more independent, and more competitive economy at home. And what I actually like a lot about Prime Minister Carney, he says things like that carry with it second and third tier meetings. While we're doing this work, we remain focused. We're focused on doing stuff, and we're going to have to deal with this craziness and these ridiculous threats, but we actually remain focused on what the Canadian people are telling us we need to remain focused on. Again, Dominic LeBlanc, who's Canada's chief trade negotiator with the United States, Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who, to say Jameson Greer is out of his depth is an insult to the word depth, because this guy's a complete idiot. And Dominic LeBlanc has been in Canadian politics and in leadership positions for a long time. The guy knows what he's doing. And you've got this Jameson Greer guy who's cosplaying trade rep. Dominic LeBlanc posts, first let me just this line, "Efforts remain ongoing." Okay, let's be clear. That means there's not a full deal yet. "The chief trade negotiator and I met this morning with United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer in Washington, D.C. We are working collaboratively towards a finalized agreement between the two countries." I want to bring in now Charlie Angus, Meidas Canada. And Charlie, we also got to talk about that Pete Hoekstra petition in the end of this video, because I know it's the top signed petition in Canadian history right now, and I want to talk about that. But in addition to what I said, Donald Trump held this bizarre press conference this morning, you may have seen also, where he was roaming around the White House grounds talking about the grass and how one of his donors is putting new grass in and the grass loves the food. And he talks about how he's going to have drones flying all over Washington, D.C., that soon you're going to see drones everywhere. I mean, I know that's exactly what Americans will see, drones everywhere. And he's got drone defenses. But he goes, "We've come to a deal with Canada. They were charging us tremendous tariffs, but we no longer have the tariffs. We stopped Canada and saved that." That's how he's framing it. They were being so unfair, and now they've agreed they're not going to tariff us. I've solved the problem, everybody. Charlie, what do you make of this all?
Oh my God. Ben, I don't even know where to start. So, number one, if you go into any coffee shop in Canada today, they'll say, whatever. We don't trust anything that guy says. It'll be what it'll be. Show us the details. So, nobody here is doing the victory dance. Oh, thank God we're relieved. What I really noticed, Ben, was that for all the tough, big talk, Jameson Greer and Donald Trump, you better not tariff us even more. We will press the nuclear button. It seemed almost like a little bit of a panic on their part, like they were running out of road, like people are getting fed up, like the fact that this Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which is the worst piece of economic legislation in history. Yes, it did cause a Great Depression, is absolutely illegal. But what did they announce as a victory? They got what? The Keystone XL pipeline. And everyone in Canada is saying, what? Yeah, you guys killed Keystone XL, but hey, if you want to run a pipeline through the red states and fight with your own voters, yeah, sure, we'll watch that happen. So the other funny element to this is that as Donald Trump was doing his supposed victory lap, the Prime Minister in Canada was announcing the biggest energy deal in Canadian history. It is a clean energy deal at Churchill Falls, the equivalent of 18 Hoover dams, massive investments. It's bringing Quebec on side, bringing the Innu First Nation people on side with wind energy, federal government. And they said, well, what about Trump? And he goes, well, I'll explain it to the president as well. I'm sure the president's going to want to know. He was like, whatever, this is just another day. So we'll see what's in the details. But so far, what we're seeing, I don't see that Donald Trump has crushed little Canada here. I see that he's running around making claims that really people here are saying, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and follows the same pattern, threatening the huge number right before the deadline. We did a
Yeah,
deal. We did a
yeah, yeah,
deal. You look at the other side's statement. The other side, in this case, Canada says, we've had productive conversations. Whether that's even true or not, who knows? But you say it, and efforts are ongoing. And, it's just a bizarre thing to watch somebody who lies everything he says, every sound, syllable, utterance. And it just also, I mean, from your perspective as a Canadian, and I say this from other countries who observe this behavior, to me, it just looks so utterly like weak and pathetic. Like it's like, oh, that's I get it. When you have the might of the post World War II Pax Americana behind you, you can have a crazy weak person do the huff and I'll puff, and it'll work the first time and the second time, and
yeah.
sometimes even the third time, because generationally, America controlled the world structure. That's the architecture. But now it's like it's sad to me as an American, frankly, to see like this is what we are. This is how weak we are. It's what's the perspective in Canada?
Well, it's really been a shocking situation. I mean, we're watching basically a gangster regime, and so people are really engaged in a way people I don't think ever would have imagined. Like Prime Minister Carney had very little room to negotiate because all the polling showing Canadians are not willing to accept anything. To give up anything to Donald Trump. They don't trust him. They know that his signature means nothing. So the message to the prime minister going in is Canadians expect you to hold the line. So obviously the prime minister's got to find some way of negotiating, on auto, absolutely, on steel, on aluminum. But what's in those details we don't know. But a few things that we're seeing is Donald Trump's talking about that we're going to lower these tariffs that we threatened them on Ottawa. We were just doing retaliatory tariffs. He had announced his plan to destroy Canada's auto industry. The auto industry in North America is totally integrated. I mean, the Toyota plant in Ontario is getting supplies from Ohio that morning, and Lansing is getting stuff from Hamilton and Ontario that evening. Donald Trump caused chaos. So I think what the negotiators on the Canadian side were like, listen, we want to get this agreement back on within CUSMA to make sure that the auto sector maintains itself. So Donald Trump is saying they've stopped their retaliatory tariffs. Well, fine. We don't need retaliatory tariffs if our auto sector maintains constant. Same on dairy. The dairy thing is bizarre. Canada does not compete with the US on dairy. We have a domestic market run by farmers. It's not subsidized. The Americans can ship in, but they're not. So we had a phantom tariff on top of stuff that they are not sending in as one of our retaliatory tariffs. And he's announced they're going to stop the retaliatory tariff on dairy. And it's like, there was no threat there. This was just for show. So if this is Donald Trump's victory, well, again, most people in Canada would say, well, we'll let him have that. But there are going to be a few key areas. The booze boycott for Canadians is personal. For the Prime Minister to come and tell us to put down our guard, he's going to have to really prove it. I don't think it's going to change behavior. I think Canadians recognize that as long as we have an anti-democratic threat on our border, that we will hold the line. The boycott will remain strong, and that'll piss Donald Trump off. But we know that what he says means nothing. Like Ben, as he was demanding this 10th hour negotiation, he was turning on the UK, threatening them with 100% tariffs after they signed an agreement that gave Donald Trump everything he wanted. So Canadians are watching. They will wait and see. They'll listen to what the Prime Minister comes back on. But, Donald Trump's cheering and howling that he secured the Keystone XL pipeline. We're like, whatever, take it, dude. If that's as best it gets, go for it.
Right. You look at even, for example, his attack of South Korea lately, after he, a few weeks back, a month or two ago, praised South Korea for hitting the GDP to military defense expenditure benchmark, and then said that with the GDP, where they're doing joint military exercises with the United States, is too hostile and threatening to Kim Jong-un, who was doing nuclear ballistic missile tests basically, throughout the week, and then says, well, we need to retaliate against South Korea for not helping us remove the Iranian nuclear weapons, which Trump's claims he obliterated the prior year. So therefore, we want to help Kim Jong-un develop nuclear weapons. And then Kim Jong-un's sister, who's the number 2 there, says, we're not talking to Donald, that this doesn't change our posture at all.
Yeah.
And, this is all, would be parody if, 1, I wasn't an American, but 2, if it wasn't so dangerous for the global world order. I mean, remember when he was bragging, Charlie, about getting 13 million metric tons of soybeans bought in the United States from China, which was half of what happened under Biden. But because the number sounded big, he acted like that was a great deal. I mean, he's the Pied Piper of bumbling dumb deals. And he goes around and now he's bragging, we got Canada to remove the retaliation if we remove some of the things that provoke the retaliation. And that's a deal. It's like, what are you talking about? But here's an important thing that I want to toss it to you about. Because while he's doing this stuff, though, and I think a lot of it is idiotic behavior and malice combined, but he's out there, and you see this, Charlie, enriching himself. And what really hit hard is when when Senator Ossoff drew the connection. Look, all you want to do is go out there with Natalie or Human Printer or whatever she is, and do your stock trades and not actually care about your job. You don't care about America's position in the world or your job. That's so fundamental, Harry.
I think for Canadians, this is what we really watch, is the fact that, this is a gangster family. What is it that he's suing, Chase One Bank for the fact that they had to shut 300 plus accounts down from money laundering. And they say that these accounts were shut down because of woke politics. This is a family that built their money on dirty money, on Russian money. The fact that he was offering for Truth Social to give you the heads up just before he makes announcements, because we see these patterns of insider trading and betting, that is really disturbing. To Canadians who believe in a rules-based order. How do you deal with people who are obviously using the system, screwing over their own workers, stepping on lives in order to make themselves billions in crypto? And again, just on the eve of this crazy announcement that he's got a deal for Keystone XL, he went after the International Criminal Court. Why? Because they are targeting Vladimir Putin as a war criminal. So we're watching this in Canada and saying, on our border, we have a criminal family backed by criminal friends who are against the International Criminal Court and who are supporting Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin and siding with Benjamin Netanyahu, while the rest of the world is saying we've got to find an alternative. So we'll see where it goes with the so-called negotiations. They will turn on Canada in a week. If we sign it, they'll turn on us in 2 weeks because they can't have a democratic nation on their border. But we got to stay really focused on this.
Charlie, before we go, your final message to Donald Trump and Pete Hoekstra as the petition that you've been pushing on the Meidas Canada channel. It's really the people have been pushing it, but you've been right there shoulder to shoulder with the people of Canada going elbows up. Talk to us about that before we go.
Well, Pete, you've done something kind of special that on your resume, kicked out of Canada, hated by Canadians. I mean, Pete, you blew it when you were in the Netherlands, when you were lying about and trying to incite race hatred in the Netherlands. I've been told that you're not even one of the worst of Donald Trump's ambassadors internationally, but we don't care in Canada. We are over 250,000 Canadians using our democratic rights to say that you've got to be thrown out, that we have to have investigations by the U.S. Embassy into interference in our affairs because we see it and we know it. And it doesn't matter what you come back having signed, Pete, with your criminal boss. We've got your number. We will see this petition being the largest petition in Canadian history. People are having barbecue parties in the summer and getting their neighbors to come and sign to have you thrown out. We hate your guts, Pete. We hate Donald Trump because we hate criminals. We hate people who are anti-democratic, and we hate people who treat their neighbors with such contempt. So you've got to go. Donald Trump, it doesn't matter what you sign. Canadians will never go along. We will never bend. We will never kiss your ring. So give yourself a victory lap right now, Donald, because it looks like you were in a little bit of a panic that Canada was going to drop the big hammer on, say, potash or other tariffs and sink you. But the sinking is coming, Donald, so it'll go off for another week or another 2 weeks or another month or whatever. We carry on in Canada. We carry on strong and democratic and free.
Charlie Angus runs the Meidas Canada YouTube channel. Let's help get that channel 500,000 subscribers. And Charlie, can people still sign the petition right now? Is there still time?
Oh, the petition 7531. If you are a Canadian citizen, you signed the petition 7531. It's the e-petition. It will, and it's been ratified by Parliament. So all the language in there is all been looked at by parliamentary legal lawyers saying, yep, this is all perfectly fair, calling for Pete to be persona non grata. It's open till November. We're at like over 250,000 now. We were looking to get 1 million signatures to send the message. It's time to send the mega bums home.
1 million signatures. So if people are watching this from Canada, you can do your part by telling a family member in Canada and reaching out to other people and making sure in your circle and their circles that everybody has signed this petition. It's a big deal. And so if you're wondering, what can I do at home in Canada?
Yeah.
Just look up the petition and then keep watching Meidas Canada as well. And Charlie will keep giving you updates about the petition also. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.